Hi everybody, I'm Charlie, and this is On Air, My Beatles Collection. Got a lot of requests to take a video of the room. The room. Some people call it the shrine, some people call it the cave, some people call it the museum, some people call it whatever they want to call it. I call it the Beatles man cave, for want of a better name. And so I'm going to take you on a tour. I'm going to reverse the camera so that you don't have to see me. You'll hear me, but you'll see the sights and sounds, well, not the sounds, the sights of the room. Now this is a basement, so I'm going to start at the top of the stairs. They're wooden stairs. You might hear a little creaky noise as I slowly go down the stairs, but the stairway starts. The first thing you'll see when I open the door to the stairway on the left, there's a couple of shelves, and I have some little Beatle-y knickknacks there. I have my Magical Mystery Tour bus. I have a few gold record singles. They're not RIAA gold records. They're just trophy kind of gold records, but they're kind of nice, and they're just a little taste of what you're about to find when you see the room. And then you're going to see posters, lots of posters on the walls on both sides as we go down the stairs, and I'll explain kind of what you're looking at, but I'm not going to cover or stop at every poster, but a couple of things I'll stop and show you in more detail. I have a couple of photographs that I bought from May Pang, one with her and John, but they're autographed by May and they're numbered. And if you don't know that about May, May is a lovely lady and a good friend to all of us Beatle fans, and a great friend to Julian Lennon at his darkest hours. So I have a very strong fondness for May Pang. And anyway, got a couple of pictures from her, and have a few other things on the wall there. And then we'll turn into the room, and you'll see sort of the full width and breadth and depth of the room, and then I'll show you some detail in the room. I can't stop and explain or show everything. You'll see everything in the frame, but I won't stop and explain everything because there's just too much in here. You can probably see just from what's behind me now, and this is maybe 1/10 of the room behind me. You'll see I have a bunch of records over there and on the wall. I have a bunch of books on a bookshelf there, and there's another matching one on the other side. There's sort of memorabilia stuff in the shelves back there. And all around the room, there's shelving, and there's stuff on the walls down on another part of the room down here. And then there's the media side where I have DVDs. I have my big TV, my surround system, a bunch of box sets that are Beatles. Then on the other side, I have a bunch of box sets that are Beatles solo. And I'll tell you the rest as we go through the room. So we're going to start that now. So here we are, opening the door at the top of the stairs to go downstairs. You might have seen quickly the Magical Mystery Tour bus, the gold records. What looks like the Abbey Road walkway is actually Salt and Pepper Shakers. There's a poster of all the albums up to the BBC album. There's some picture sleeves from around the world, the White Album poster, a bunch of stuff going down the stairs here. We're going to go down and see them. There's the London Palladium poster. See some Beatles-related comic books. There's one of the May Pang pictures that's signed and numbered from May Pang. Lost Weekend to Charlie. That's me. Now we're looking actually up the stairs at the BBC poster. You're going to quickly see a framed piece of Beatles wallpaper. And then there's the comic books. They look pretty good. And then we're going to go in the room. So I just took you down the flight of stairs into the room. I'm going to turn slowly. I'll come back to everything I pass on the way and just show you the entire place. That's the room. That's an extension of the room. I'll turn around now. There's a gold record. presented to Paul McCartney. It says Capitol, but it's a 70s version, probably 78, I think, with the Apple label. There's the RIAA plaque. There's Paul's tug of war with his autograph. That's the booklet that came with the CD. There's an Apple cookie jar and a microwave and a fridge. And then up here we have several of the Diesel Hoffman picture with Paul holding a cigarette, all of which were used in 1964. On the left you see the Can't Buy Me Love sleeve, which is the most elusive of the American sleeves. All you need is love. And down here, got a bunch of the more rare stuff. It's a real Christmas album on the bottom, a bunch of VJ stuff. That Beatles and Frank Ifield is not legit. I do have the Jolly What album right behind that. And way down the bottom, got the 3-inch records and record player and record storage boxes from RSD, Record Storage Day. Those are original Capitol albums. And you see my welcome mat. You say goodbye, I say hello. And there's a Polk subwoofer. This is my media center, but we'll start with all the box sets and books. Those are the Japanese JBCD boxes on the far right. A lot of Bruce Spicer stuff. The red box is the Capitol 1964 mono. The anthology box next to that is the box from the anthology laser disc. But I took the laser discs out, I store them separately, and in there I have the 3 original anthology triple albums. There's some of the newer anniversary super deluxe stuff. And there's a bunch of things called the Real Alternate album. Those are mostly bootlegs, except on the right side of that box there, there's the red and blue, the recent red and blue, and then next to that, the Real Alternate red and blue. And then over here, we got a bootleg CD of the Mobile Fidelity Collection, which is stored on top of the actual Mobile Fidelity Collection. Up here, got Pete Best's autograph, and then Pete Best's book, which is also autographed to me personally. And down there, you might be able to see the ticket from the show where I met him. This book is Ringo's book, and that's also autographed. And that's one of my CD players there. I used to be a DJ. This was a gift from some of my co-workers. It's got handwritten lyrics. Of course, they're reproductions. You happen to see on the TV screen there, I'm showing the Beatles Get Back, the Peter Jackson version. Got a big 60, I think it's 65-inch TV there. And then over here, Beatles DVDs and such. It's a clock. Magical Mystery Tour box set. Concert from Bangladesh box set. Got a green apple. It's a drawing my niece did. Cartoon caricature of John. She also did these Christmas ornaments. The actual ornaments are behind that. Bunch of DVDs, Beatles related. There's a couple of spaces there because I'm going to be doing some shows. I took them out and staged them. See the original anthology DVDs. Is my Blu-ray player, which is playing now, playing the Get Back movie, so you can see that sitting on top of the Blu-ray. Then I have the US albums boxed, the singles box, some other stuff. And there's my carpet that goes in front of that. And let's turn around again. Got a little rack of CDs here. Well, first you got the box for the 3-inch record player. And then there's some bootleg CDs. There's the Mega model. There's a... Oh, I got it upside down, sorry. John Lennon box. Now let's look in the room. First thing you see, that's where I sit when I watch my DVDs and such, Blu-rays. So this was my seat. And I have a sound bar and a subwoofer on the far right there. And the surround speakers are behind me. Show you those in a minute. So let's turn. Show you this wall here. I'll have to back up so you can see the full breadth of it. So the bottom 3 rows on the left and the right are all albums. The very bottom on the left is all McCartney. Above that is Beatles stuff. These are not just boxes. Behind the boxes, there are more records. So, for example, that's what you see behind each of these boxes. That one is Japanese compilation album box. That one is sort of your standard Beatles collection box, except it's not the blue box. It's the gold box, and that's the Australian version. That one there is called the FRC box. I've done shows on all of these on my channel. There is a Beatles Anthology aftermarket box. There's the actual blue box. Some more Beatles stuff behind there, and the now and then 10-inch and 12-inch. There's the McCartney stuff I mentioned. Then up here, these are all CDs. Same situation. Take the box away. You see, there's more CDs, and that's true all the way across. All the way across. I've done shows on a lot of this stuff. Then up here I have some miscellaneous stuff. Can't get into all of it. That box says for jukeboxes only. That's the full set of color vinyl from the 90s. There's a bunch of one-related stuff, bootleg and otherwise. That's an RSD box. The Capitol albums. And again, there's stuff behind all of these. There's the Lennon box, the other Lennon box, and another Lennon box. Some McCartney box, McCartney birthday box, Ubu Jubu box. I have the McCartney wooden crate singles. This is a bootleg version of that on CDs, which I think is pretty cool. It's a lot easier to listen to than listening to all those singles. Anyway, there's more stuff up here. Some more aftermarket stuff. That's a legit VJ Christmas picture sleeve. Some George stuff. Some Wilbury stuff. Some White Album stuff. That McCartney box there is all of his SHM CDs that have been coming out in the past year or two. A couple of anthology bootleg CDs. The actual anthology, sorry, not anthology, Alpha Omega. And there's the Alpha Omega album. Behind it is volume 2. This may be the rarest thing in the room. This was a box set of Capitol records issued to employees of Capitol Data Systems in the early 90s. Only employees of that program got these boxes. They're quite rare. They contain the Capitol US albums on the purple label. Down there I have some more box sets. That is a laser disc of Let It Be that you see. And I have that whole box there is all laser discs. There's George's All Things Must Pass. There's George's All Things Must Pass, the Zoetrope version. There's John's Power to the People from Record Store Day. Old McCartney bootleg. Up in this corner, bunch of Yellow Submarine stuff. There's a box for my lava lamp, which you'll see in a minute. There's John's postcard tribute to Paul, for want of a better way to put it. Now we're looking at books. So I got a shelf here, a lot of books, but up on top, I got one of my surround speakers. I have a Now and Then clock, and a Now and Then picture sleeve with that clock, and the other Lennon box. Lots of books. That's mostly solo related there. More Beatles related there. More solo. The McCartney Legacy books. John and Paul. McCartney lyrics. Then over here, got a bunch of stuff my kids buy me every year for Christmas. They buy me coffee mugs and lunch boxes. So I got a bunch of stuff there. And then in this cabinet, there's lots of box sets, reel-to-reel tape in the back there. That red box in the middle is the Australian singles collection. There's a White Album tape, 8-track tape, which is in a black case. I used one of those Beatles singles collection boxes to house all of the picture disc singles that came out in the 80s. There's a play tape there, still in package. And then up here, that's a red original disco case. That blue case is original, generic disco case, and I added the Beatles sticker to it for fun. There's another anthology aftermarket box. That one there is for the CDs. The one you saw before is for the LPs. There's a flip your wig game in the back and my Beatles Coke bottles. And then a bunch more stuff up there, some tin boxes, variety of things. There's a Beatles sweatshirt in there that's kind of hard to see. Beatles ornament, Beatles jacket, the Let It Be jacket. And all the way up on top, a bunch of Funkos. Funko Pop dolls, I guess you would call them. Moving on to the other side of the display case, got some more Funkos all the way across. And then a blue Aladdin lunchbox with thermos, Soaky toys, Revel models, some yellow sub stuff. That's the Lego yellow sub. That one lights up. I have the light kit on that. Some box sets, 3-inch singles, 5-inch singles, so on. There's some flasher rings and a nice display case. Street picture of Paul and Linda. Some Beatles wig back there. Abbey Road candle. There's the Pepsi radio that Beatles were holding during their 1964 visit. Beatles pillow. Beatles box, that's the one of the tape versions, cassette tapes. Some Thai Beanie Babies. There are those. And that's I think that's what the one they call Ringo. Not sure. And let's see, some little knotters, some pins, some brooches, I'm not sure how you say that word. Then up here, got the Remco dolls and some Titan dolls, another Polk rear speaker, more books. Here you see the yellow one, and the ones to the right of it are binders that hold all of the original Beatles trading cards. So the black and white ones, the color ones, the Beatles Diary, A Hard Day's Night, Help, and then some of the later stuff, the River Group and other things. There's more books in here, but those TV guides are the 3 TV guides from the month of February 1964 that each contain a guide that says the Beatles will be on the Ed Sullivan Show. And there's more stuff down there. There's more Bruce Spicer books in there. And then the book on the right is a bound version of the book that came in the Let It Be album, the UK version of the Let It Be album, which I have separately, that box with the book, but this book I got separately in a bulk buy that I did. Over here we got plaque I had done in 1996 when Real Love came out, and we already had Free as a Bird. I had them mounted here. There is my butcher's section. So let's start down here. Here's a 3D model done by my friend Paul at T-Shirt Express. I'm going to show you that from the top. See, it's 3D. So this is a version 2, or second state, if you will. So I don't know if you can see Ringo's V there. Well, maybe you can. Well, it's definitely there. It's definitely a second state. It is an LA copy. Would be hard to peel, and I'm never going to peel it. And this is what I call a 2.5. If that's a 2, that's a 2.5. It's not a 3 because it's not fully peeled. And I like it because it displays for the uninitiated what you're looking for. And then that's a recall letter, the Ron Tapper recall letter. That's a repro. Down underneath the 3D model, there's some picture sleeves, and then lots of box sets, singles box sets. The red one is the Christmas singles. And then right next to that is my Rubber Soul lava lamp. You saw the carton for that on the other side of the room. And this is my primary picture sleeve collection. So you may have seen me show. These are all in Fiji Plus to near mint condition. I've got all of them. All the American ones, I should say. Here's my turntable. There's my on-air My Beatles Collection sign. I changed positions because I wanted to show you what that is above it. This is a one-of-a-kind artist-created cabinet that my wife bought for me in a gallery in New York City, probably in the 80s. No, in the 90s. And it's unique. It's supposed to kind of evoke guitar parts. And I'll show you that it actually opens. So you could store CDs in there. What I'm storing in there is actually my own CD that I made. And there are the 3 American EPs. 2 on Capitol, the one in the middle is on VJ. And then I have these LP boxes. These are in addition to the ones I showed you before, but these are different sections here. So these are all various imports from all over the place. It's an Odeon Japan on red vinyl, as an example. So miscellaneous imports. And then the UK versions on the Capitol Rainbow, which I've found interesting. I'll show you. Let me show you a different one. So there you go. There's the Hard Day's Night mono Parlophone, but it's on a Capitol label. So anyway, that's what I'm calling a Capitol Rainbow label, of course. Let me put that to the side. And then we have just original US albums of all different ones. And then we have UK versions on the Capitol purple label. So here's Help, and there's a Capitol purple label. So that's that. On this side, I've got the front section is picture discs, so it's a variety of picture discs. And then I've got Capitol, regular Capitol albums on the purple label. There's the 20 greatest hits on the purple Capitol label. And then this is regular Capitol on orange, Capitol orange label. Magical Mystery Tour on the orange label. So yeah, I'm crazy. I collect them all. I'm gonna back up here and show you. This is where I do my shows. I'll come back to this in a little bit. So the last section of the room is this little alcove. There's some mechanical closets there. Here's a painting, an Imagine painting. A friend of mine found that in a Goodwill store. I think it was $1. I'm happy to have it. This was a commercially released thing. It's not a RIAA gold album, but it's etched. And it's got a piece of wood from the Tittenhurst door. And over here, there's some paintings. These are original paintings. Trying to remember. Yeah, Lovegrove, I think her name is. She's the artist. And then, just quickly going through here, there is a first edition Meet the Beatles stereo from Capitol, and this is from January '64. There is an interesting VJ reel introducing the Beatles. This is a version 1 with Love Me Do. It's mono, it's not stereo, unfortunately. And it's got the oval VJ label. So let me turn here. Got a bunch of knickknacks, little things I picked up or somebody's given me for lunch boxes. There's a little record player, a little record storage box. All of these things I either have or have had at one point in time, the real thing. Here's something else from my friend Paul at T-Shirt Express. This is a 3D printer version of the Imagine mosaic in Central Park Strawberry Field section. That's a Christopher Radko Christmas ornament. That's another one, Blue Meanie. This is something my wife made, a 3D display that lights up. There's the Ringo February Sky red vinyl, very hard to find. Here's a Shea Stadium thing, along with a keychain souvenir. And then not only that mini concert poster, but this one with promoter Sid Bernstein's autograph. And then just a metal plaque of the same thing. Down here I have a 3D Sgt. Pepper. You can't really see the three-dimensionality of it, but you can see it in person. Behind that is the McCartney Egypt Station Traveler Edition suitcase. Over here you see the Restoration Hardware All Together Now box set. And that's the pocket disc for Hey Jude. And here we have Tolly Love Me Do. Here we have a Swan She Loves You on the white label with the blue print. Don't drop out. Here we have a Please Please Me on the VJ purple. And down here, all the way down to the bottom, there's more books. I won't go through all those. And then there's the McCartney singles crate. Above it, these are all of the McCartney Super Deluxe boxes, leaving a space for London Town, Back to the Egg, hint, hint, Paul. These are all John Lennon Super Deluxe boxes. There's more Lennon and some of the George Harrison ones. There's the white mono box, the blue box Beatles collection, the black stereo box, the black CD box. That's the CD box part of the All Together Now box. That's just a storage case there. And finally, I have a couple of things on the wall here. These are some John Lennon stamps. There's a plaque there. My mother got these. These are from the island of St. Vincent. My mother got those for me many years ago. And so I cherish that. She's not with us anymore. And this is a picture that I won. That's a very early picture, obviously, of the Beatles. And I won that on QVC about 20 years ago. So anyway, that's the back end of the room here. So we just saw all that stuff. And now we're going to come back over here, back into the room. That happens to be my ultrasonic record cleaner there, which works really well. I don't actually operate it there. I'm just storing it there temporarily. This is where I work. It's my microphone. This is where I work when I do my shows. And that's pretty much what you see behind my head when I'm doing the shows. Maybe you see that picture disc in the lower right corner there, or you see the stuff on the wall, or the lunch boxes, or whatever. That's generally the view. I didn't mention before this blanket. This is the Yellow Submarine blanket. It was created for me by a good friend, a former co-worker, and I got it as a Christmas present. And I got a Beatle pillow there too. That's where I normally sit. These are both recliners. And then the middle section where the blanket is actually comes down and it opens up, and you can put drinks in there, and you can plug in your USB connections, nice cup holders, and so on. So anyway, that is My Beatles Collection.